Risk management job in IT world is one of the highest paid job, and it's not that easy to do. I am going to help you with some of the important tips and tricks which you can going to have with you handy to implement risk management. In a short, I'll be going to explain you risk management process and how you can use in your IT world. Hello guys and welcome back to my channel Firewall again. Risk management is a kind of process where you have to consider a lot of things to mitigate a particular risk, and you have to do plan before occurring that risk. We have a lot of steps involved here, but I'm trying to give you important steps only which you can implement right away to avoid a risk in your infrastructure. So let's start about the process. First, you have to do the planning. Then you have to collect the information. Then you have to define your risk based on your information. Then you have to do the risk mitigation. And finally, you have to see whether you can keep monitoring your whatever the risk occurrings, and whether you can transfer your risk to some other third party. So it's like a transferring the risk. So when we talk about the planning is nothing but the stages where you have to identify the team, where which team will act like your risk management team, and who are the responsible for delivering all the related work with respect to your risk. It involved the team who are qualified to understand and do the analysis of the risk. In risk, there are a lot of things comes. It's like your the risk involved with the threats, risk involved with your the physical assets, risk involved with the people, lot of things. Anything which is in a IT world, it can be riskable, and you have to protect that. So the number one thing when we talk about the plan is your team. So the team must be having members like initially the first member is your manager, who manage the team, and the architect who knows your infrastructure well. Under the management, you need to have, or under the manager, you need to have your engineers who act like your security analyst, and in terms under the architect, you need to have the engineers who knows your infrastructure in and out. So the engineers under the architects are nothing but your network engineers, your security engineers, and your coders. So these are the two things important when you're forming the team. And manager is something who can take care of your security analyst plus the engineering team related to the architect as well. And at the top, you need to have the senior management, which will help you to give you the right decision, and you can go for the approval, whatever the changes you need to make in your environment, right? The next thing comes, you need to identify the scope. Once the team is formed, then you need to identify the scope. What is the scope of your environment you are taking care of? So usually consider, if you are working on a product based organization, you may be assigned a scope of a particular software or a product. This you need to take care of, or sometimes it's like entire organization, whatever you have in organization, you need to work on that and do the mitigation. For a different department, there may be a different team for the security analysis, but maybe uh, sometimes it's like a product base, and you have to have a different team for the different products. Once you define the scope, then you need to identify the method, like what method you are going to take further to identify what sort of risk in your environment. So the method which you're going to implement to deliver the risk mitigation. Then you need to identify the tools which you're going to use to detect and to prevent your risk. Next, what will be the acceptable risk for your organization? So this you can consider, okay, this risk we can accept and we can give the exception for that. All this you have to think before implementing your risk management strategies. So everything comes under the plan. So under the plan, what we have discussed, we need to identify team, then you need to define scope, then you need to define your method, which method you're going to take to deliver your risk mitigation. Then you have to identify the tools, and now finally you need to understand what is the acceptable risk you can take into the account. All right, this is the first thing. When you talk about risk management, you have to do the planning. The second thing, you have to collect all this information. So under the collect information, you need to identify the things like assets, what asset you have in your organization. Then you have to assign the values to these assets, like okay, what asset contain what kind of data and what valuable it is. Then you have to identify what vulnerability or threats will be occur or will be impact to this asset, and this asset is vulnerable to that. Your experience, based on your analysis, based on your judgment, you have to calculate what vulnerability will become over there. Then according to vulnerability, you need to calculate the risk, what type of risk you can get with respect to those assets, whatever the devices you have. And then you have to calculate the cost. If you got impacted, what will be the cost to get remediated with that? What will be the benefit if you involving any sort of cost with respect to any third party vendors to give you help for the protection on infrastructure. Then you have to identify uncertainty, if certain things which is not under your control, if certain things occurs, what will be your approach. So in collecting information, you have to give a rational view and you have to understand all those details for sure. This is the second step. The third step is you need to define what you're going to be deliver in delivering this risk management process. So you can do the risk mitigation steps like a risk transparency, risk acceptance, risk avoidance. You need to define like what level of risk transparency you can deliver, what level of risk acceptance you're going to deliver, and what level of risk avoidance you can have. For example, when I talk about the risk mitigation, what are the tools, techniques you're going to apply, and what will be the downtime for that, what will be the the amount of time you can take to mitigate your risk with the environment up and running. Risk transparency, if you have any third party insurance, if something occurs to your environment, and that insurance will take care of your whatever the risk or whatever the damages happen to your environment. So the risk transparency there. The risk acceptance also you need to define, and you also need to define what type of risk you can avoid. It's like a low priority, it's not a critical, so you can avoid such sort of risk. So that you have to consider while you're performing the risk management. So what so far we have talked about, we'll just see in terms of diagram. So I said management of risk. So number one thing comes in my mind, it's like a plan. You have to deliver the planning. Then number two thing, once the planning is there, you have to collect all the information with respect to your infrastructure. Once you have all the information with you, you have to define, you know, what approach you're going to take, what risk mitigation, risk transference, risk avoidance, and risk acceptance strategy you're going to have. And once you have all this thing in a place, then you have to have a dashboard where you monitor all those things, right? This is the final stage where whatever the things you have configured, you have delivered, you have to monitor that thing, right? I hope this video you found informative, and thanks for watching this video.